Hello, my name is Orlando Vick Jr., and I have the privilege and the honor of inviting you to embark on a new journey with me as we venture into a new territory with our podcast series, WHOL Conversations. WHOL stands for Wounds Healed Out Loud, and WHOL Conversation is an extension of the work that I've done for over 20 years in the mentoring, ministry, and mental health fields. As a motivational speaker, my vision has always been to see lives change and to help people heal their wounds. This season on WHOL Conversations, my guest co-host is Miss Letitia Manning. Letitia Manning is a trusted ministry leader with a wealth of knowledge and experience in health and personal development and mental fitness. And each episode will tackle topics that many experience and have even sustained wounds from. And how do we move from being the wounded to being the healed? And that's our focus. And we're doing that by healing wounds out loud through meaningful conversations. What up, kings and queens? Welcome to WHOL Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Orlando Vick, and
co-host Letitia Manning.
What up, Tish?
Hey, what's up?
You know, I'm doing good, girl.
That's good. I'm glad to know.
But check it out, though. I'm happy today because we get the chance to impact, motivate, and inspire, people at large. And I love that. So grateful to have had the opportunity to have this assignment and vision to birth this, because all lives deserve healed wounds. And I'm here to make sure that people get healed and whole at the same time. What about yourself?
Amen. Hey, I'm in it to win it.
Oh, okay. Oh, you are spicy in it to win it. Oh, I'm in it to win it. All right, cool. That sounds good. Listen, so our topic for today is doing life after loss.
Yes.
Wow.
Ooh.
We're going to deal with the physical, the mental, and the spiritual impact of a major loss.
Yes. Ooh, that's some heavy stuff.
That's heavy, right?
Stuff.
But before we do that, okay, I believe in meditation. I believe that we have to breathe. And in every situation that you are in, make sure that you take time to breathe. Yes. Don't restrict your breath. When you are still alive, you still have life. Don't create your expiration.
Yes.
It's already a day and a date set for that, and today is not the day.
That's good.
And so you have time to live on, and everything that you have been through, there is another day for you not to go through it no more.
Yes, amen.
So that means that your past doesn't determine your future, and there is more for you for the future. So we got to get there.
That's good.
So before we move on, let us take some time out to just really inhale and exhale. We've had such a day. Some of us have had a morning, an afternoon, a night, and a lot of weight is on us. And so let's just inhale and exhale. You ready? You do this with me?
I'm ready. I'm
my partner over
here,
boy.
Yes.
Let's do it. All right, here we go. All right, on the count of 3, we're gonna breathe. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
1, 2, 3. Let's inhale. Exhale. Let's inhale. Let's exhale. Let's inhale last time. Let's exhale. Wow. Ooh. We just inhaled peace. We exhale stress.
Yes.
We inhale joy and vitality. We exhale depression.
Yes.
We inhale positivity and light, and exhale all negativity.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right? Listen, I feel good. You feel good?
I feel great.
Wow. So now I really want to just dive into this, because this is a tough one.
It is.
And doing life after loss and dealing with the physical, dealing with the mental and spiritual impact of a major loss.
Wow.
Can you talk to me? Talk to me.
Ooh, well, I mean, I'm sure you and all of our other listeners out there have experienced loss in their life. I know for me, it was my grandmother, my grandfather.
Jeez.
I mean, my best friend. So and even with divorce, it's just been so many different times
Wow.
that I've experienced different kinds of loss. And I've had to have therapy for it, you know, and also just the spiritual aspect as far as church, you know. So, but what about you?
Oh, man. Woo. Doing life after loss of finances.
Oh my God, yes. I'm a witness to that.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
Loss of a car.
Yes.
You know, it
Yes,
came and
been there
they had to come get it. Okay? They had to come get it.
We can laugh about it now.
Yeah, right, exactly. I ain't laughing about it when I
Right,
when I had Pat and Charlie.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? No, but loss of my grandfather just last year.
Wow.
A couple years before that, my father's sister.
Wow.
And loss of relationship, you know, and loss of, lost my confidence.
Yes. Oh, yeah, been there.
Lost my determination.
Yes.
Lost my belief. Lost my faith at one point.
Yes.
You know, lost a great big deal of things. But you know what I'm grateful for?
What are you grateful for?
That during the loss, I still gained.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. I still gained. And so definitely, did it play on me physically? It really did.
Yeah.
You know, definitely. I mean, it's nothing like a blow, that really knock you off your stability.
For sure.
Cognitively,
Yes.
mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so it was definitely a major impact in my life. I still deal with it today. But because I'm grateful for life, health, and strength, that lets me know that I can still activate something that still have life for me.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? To operate in. And, and it's, even in my assignment, going up, traveling across the world, speaking and all of that, I still recognize that, man, how hard is your assignment? And how hard is life with your assignment or your assignment with your life? That you still have to operate it and have yet grieved properly.
That's really good.
Okay?
Yeah.
And how do you show up appearing so perfect? The speaker, he's so eloquent or she's so eloquent, and knows how to just impact your life. But their words and their impact seems not to be the antidote to their own bleeding.
That's
and I'm
good.
like,
Ooh.
wow. And I suffered with that so many times, having to prepare, material for, people across the world, and have yet faced my own trauma.
Yes.
My own drama, and knowing how to deal with the grief that it lives in at the same time. What about yourself?
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
Even for me. Like, I remember when my friend passed away, my best friend, she passed away in 2005. And I realized that it was just this year that I finally had closure to the grief.
Woo!
This year. Because I thought I was over it.
Woo!
So like I'm sitting there thinking I'm like, okay, Lord, I know she died, and I got this. I prayed over her. I believed that she was gonna see life again. And when she didn't, it was like a crushing blow to me because I just kept believing. I really had hope and faith that she was gonna make it.
Yeah.
And when she didn't, it really impacted me in a way that I felt guilty, that I didn't do enough, or maybe I wasn't by her side enough, or I just wasn't. I felt like it was just me for some reason. I took it personally, and I was just like, you think about all the things you didn't get to do with your loved one, or what you could have did, could have, should have, would have, and but then even though I went to God about it in different times or had counseling or whatever. It was like it was someone else that was facing that similar situation. And I realized it really had hit me one morning when I was just like, Letitia, like you never really let it go.
Wow. And
I literally was crying. And I was like to the Lord, I don't understand. why is this coming up again? I let this go. And he was like, no, you didn't. You didn't let it go. He said, if you would just give it to me, he was like, and let it go, then you could be at peace about it. And when I actually did that, and I realized that he really had everything under control, and it was, you know, just he really had it under control. I had to be at peace about that. And when I did, that was when I was able to say, okay, it's not my fault. Like, you know, even though I miss her and she's not here, I have to keep living life because that's what they would want me to do. She would want me to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
You know, one of the things I recognize it within grief is that, you know, as you talk about, you know, your friend and everything and, you know, and people you have lost, I was trying to keep my grandfather here, right?
Yes.
But check this out. I was trying to keep my grandfather here. But how selfish is trying to keep somebody here that already had talked to God and said that they wanted to go already?
Oh, that's so good.
And so I'm like, wow, like I'm saying to someone that I want to keep them here, but they already had a conversation with God and was telling God that, you know, they're ready to go home.
Yes.
You know, so how selfish are we to step in the middle of them just ready to go home?
That's so true.
Another thing dealing with that situation is I wanted to ask you this. How does one locate God when they are battling with a loss?
That's good. Well, I think that's a great question. I think about this verse. It says, Matthew chapter 5, verse 4. It says, God blesses those who mourn, for they will be comforted. And then another verse that says, Psalm 73, verse 26. My health may fail and my spirit may grow weak, but God remains the strength of my heart. He is mine forever. And I just say to myself that even during those times that I'm going through that, or locating God in the midst of it, it's like, that's a time where I need to draw closer to him. That is a time where I need to say, okay, God, I'm honest with you. This is how I really feel. I know the word says that you're going to bless me, you know, when I'm brokenhearted or when I'm mourning. I know you say that my spirit may grow weak, you know, and that even though all of that, even with my health failing, that you're still my strength. I have to really believe that everything he says in his word, everything that he says, I have to believe that I can walk in that. I can say, okay, God, this is really how I feel. I'm heartbroken. I'm crushed. I can't do this anymore. And it's in that moment where you're talking to him and you're honest, you know, and you start to reflect and you come to terms with your honesty within yourself. Then to me, I think that it gives you greater strength.
Yeah.
It gives you that ability to say, okay, I'm going to trust him. I'm going to walk with him.
Yeah.
I'm going to believe that even though this is what I'm facing right now, you know, he's going to move me to a place of healing and wholeness when the time is right, when I'm ready to receive it.
Absolutely.
So.
Wow. I love that. I love that a lot. And the reason why I say, how do we locate God, you know, even, you know, when I know that I'm grieving, I'm battling, is because, like, I mean, I know when I was grieving, even sometimes, even if I'm, you know, still in certain hard parts that still come sometime, you know, I do find it hard to pray. I find it hard to pray. And it's so funny. I'm gonna tell you this. One of the things that was hard for me is that when I knew to go and locate God, when I was struggling, I will put other things in front of me going to locate him.
Yes.
Because I really needed to be, I wanted to be numb.
Yes.
From having because I wanted the thoughts to go away immediately. And I felt like I didn't have the patience to wait on him because I felt like I was suffering so badly that the wait was only going to make me suffer, you know, even worse.
Yes.
And so, but I got to the point that in my life where I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait on you, Lord. But at the same time, I'm going to wait. I'm also going to get help at the same time.
Yeah, that's good.
And so, and I did, and I did, and I had to go and get the proper help that I needed. And no, it wasn't an overnight process. You know,
Takes time.
You know, my triggers went off in therapy.
Yes.
You know, I could not stand in to even talk about what was burdensome to me, because it was so detrimental. You know, where I could not see my way out. I felt like I couldn't talk my way out. I felt like I couldn't pray my way out.
Yes.
You know, I felt like I couldn't walk my way out.
Yeah, because you get those moments, you know,
absolutely.
where you have it, where you don't feel like,
absolutely,
you know, that's an answer. And then a lot of times too, I had to tell myself, why am I okay with sitting in that negative space?
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
If I want to be made whole, you know, then I need to really break free from the negative space instead of throwing myself a pity party, or instead of me feeling like, well, I mean, I want to stay here.
Right.
I don't want to. What if I don't want to change? What if I don't want to pray?
Big.
What if I don't want
That's
to,
big.
you know, my friends and family are reaching out to me, you know, or counselors reaching out to me, but I choose to ignore them because I want to stay in that place that I'm in, you know, and I don't want that growth. I'd rather just stay depressed, stay down. And I'm not saying that we don't go through these stages of grief or loss or whatever it is. This is just my opinion. But I had to learn that me staying in that negative space hindered my growth.
Wow.
And so once I was like, okay, I can get out of that space, Tish, you have to. You can't function. You can't live like this. You know what I mean? It's not healthy. Once I made up in my mind that I wanted to grow, I wanted to be healthy, I no longer wanted to stay in the place I was in. Then I said, okay, I want to get out. How do I do it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's great what you touched on.
Oh, man, I think that was amazing what you touched on as well, because, you know, for me, I love what you said when you talked about it's stunting my growth.
Yes.
It's also stunting my opportunity.
That's good.
To be able to exceed beyond where I currently am.
Yes.
And we would never know where we can be if we just stay stagnant.
That's
where
so
we are.
true. So true.
You know, we're not giving ourselves a chance. And here's the deal. It's so funny how it's like so hypocritical at some time, because it's like I don't want to go through this no more.
Right.
But I'm choosing to keep going through this at the same time.
True. Right.
And so I've gotten to the point where I had to make a decision.
Yes.
And the decision was to literally make sure that I create an exit for the pain, for the fractures, and create an interest for my healing.
That's good.
And my prosperity.
I love that.
And there are a few, types of grief, that I would like to go over. And one is anticipatory grief, and complicated grief, and chronic grief, and traumatic grief, and masked grief, delayed grief, and secondary loss. And I recognize that those are some strong situations to have to go through and cope through.
Yes.
But at the same time, I want you all to know that it was just in my heart to even, whatever grief that you're going through, you will be able to even see. I'm going to put some things up, on the screen to kind of help you go through, your grieving process, the steps and the phases to go through your grieving process. And hear me clear, that while I'm also, you may see me here strong enough to tell you to, that there are steps for you to take. And I want you to know that there are steps I'm still taking.
Yes.
You may say, well, how do you know that it's working? It's working because I am so certain that where I am is not where I'm going to remain.
That's right.
I'm so certain that my life will breathe better, healed and whole. I'm so certain that I can tap into something better than I ever tapped into it before. And I'm not going to allow the clutter to stay there and to maintain and live there. I am evacuating everything that's in my mind that's telling me that I cannot have a life beyond my imagination.
That's right.
And so my heart will heal, like my mind will heal, my eyes will heal. Why? Because there's certain things you saw that you can never get out of your view ever again.
My God.
There's certain things you heard that you can never get out of your ear ever again. There are certain places that would bring up a trigger again, even if you went to the same territory again.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those are the things that are so important. And you have, a lot of different loss and grief and disenfranchised grief and, traumatic grief and PTSD. And so it's like, how do, you ask the question, like, how do I properly heal from my loss? How do I allow my past to not dictate my future?
Yes.
And how do I walk in my future? And all of these things are in your mind at how you're going to go to your next with dealing with such a big weight that you find hard to bear.
Yes.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
So I just want to know, like, even from you, you go to work every day. Yeah. You a mother every day. How do you handle your mental health, knowing that you have other obligations and responsibilities, but you got to put them first?
Yes.
When you want to put you first?
Yes. That's a great question. Every day for me, it's an ongoing process.
Okay.
I have to literally tell myself that the reason why I go every day, I go hard every single day, is because, one, it's because of my faith, first and foremost. And then two, it's because of my children. I really believe that what I do, the image that my children see, I want them to always have a positive impact, to have that attitude of, I'm not a quitter.
Yeah.
If my mom could go out and do it, if my mom could, give her best 100% every single day, and she doesn't believe in, this didn't work out, I guess I'm just going to quit. No, I want you to try. Maybe try it from a different angle, a different perspective, a different viewpoint. But just because this thing didn't work out doesn't mean that you stop there. I want you to keep going.
Yeah.
And so every single day it's a challenge for me, because sometimes with work in ministry, with my regular job, like you said, being a mom, single mom, and a lot of times I'm just going, I'm going. And then I really do have to do a mental check. That's important, you guys.
Yeah.
Always doing a mental check every single day.
Stop the work, check the heart.
Yes, absolutely.
Stop the work, check the heart.
Yes, ask yourself, what motivates me? You know what I mean? And why am I doing what I'm doing? And am I really happy? And it's a difference between being joyful, full of joy, or being happy. Your happiness can change at any time. You know what I mean? Whereas if you have that joy, which is the joy of the Lord, you know what I mean? That's an internal thing that'll never go away. You know what I mean? The world can't take that from you. Yeah. But I love to preach sometimes.
Yeah.
I be going into preaching mode, and I don't mean it, y'all.
You tuning up.
I just get so excited.
Yeah.
But just the fact that that's really what keeps me motivated every day. I just have to mentally take myself there and really examine myself and say, what motivates me? Why do I do what I do? You know what I mean? And so really my faith, ministry, my children, I just really believe that I just have to keep going. There's so many things I have yet to do. And if I just stop or give up or whatever, I won't be able to fulfill those things, those goals I've set for myself, so, but anyway.
Wow. No, that's good. I want, you all to understand is that with grief and loss, there are physical symptoms that go with that. There are behavior changes that go with that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
There are complications that go with that. And I just want you to understand that I understand that when we walk out of our house, we have to put on this appearing perfect.
Right.
When we know that we're imperfect.
Yes.
And don't stop trying to break through to get to where you're trying to go and get to. Don't stop. Every day work on it, but as you continuously to work on it, identify that there is something there
Yes.
that need to be detected, diagnosed. You need development for it. And in order to get developed, you have to go and get the proper help that you need.
That's good. Yeah.
And the only reason why I know that this helps is because, like I said, and I keep reiterating it, that I continue to work on the areas that I find hard to bear.
Yes.
And I don't want them there no more.
That's good.
I don't want to be in bed with a sheet over my head.
Right.
I don't want to be overeating. I don't want to, have, toxic relationships in my life. Yeah. I don't want to complete suicide or even attempt it.
Right.
I am made to be here and live out my best. And I'm going to figure it out because my life is not supposed to die or go to death because of the simple fact that I just feel that the weight that I'm going through can't be lifted.
Right. And it can be. That's a great point.
And it can be.
That's a great point.
And so a lot of these stages of grief, they, is denial.
Yes.
It's anger. Bargaining, depression, acceptance.
Yes.
And the thing about it is you deal with all of these different things, and even, cumulative grief, collective grief, and the symptoms it calls, and the emotional systems and the physical systems that's combined.
Yes.
And so, listen, I recognize that with all of these variations of grief, and it's so crazy because you could be dealing with more than one at the same time.
Oh, that's good.
Dealing with more
I could
than
believe
one
that.
at
I
the
could
same
believe
time.
that.
And so how do you unpack that?
Yeah, that's true.
How do you unpack that? Don't try to live your life every day appearing as if, everything is okay.
Yes.
It's okay to want everything to be okay.
Right.
But make sure everything is okay.
Yes. Yeah. Let me touch on that.
Go ahead.
I just thought about it.
You better go.
So when you said more than one stages of grief that people deal with, like even with me, like the loss of my best friend, like I told you, I didn't realize that I was experiencing more than one stage of grief.
Wow.
Like even the delayed grief or and so it was some other ones that you touched on too.
Anger?
And yes, anger, denial.
Denial, okay.
Just dealing with those things like saying, okay, well, no, she's not gone, or no, I'm good. Like I accepted it that she is gone, but then at the same instance, something will happen and it'll trigger. And I'm like, but she's gone. Is she really gone? She can't be gone. Yeah. I'll even see people that like it resemble my best friend. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she looked just like her. And I'm like, but she's gone. It's crazy like how the mind will play those tricks on you, or how your body, like mentally, how you're going through these different stages and you don't realize that you're going through more than one. So those are great points that you bring up. Wow. Because it took me a while to realize that. Oh yeah. And thank you for your transparency because, right now people are feeling this effect. Yes. And for those, who are listening and tuning in, and I just want you to know that I'm going to definitely give you some, great strategies on how to maneuver, through it. And because it's important that we heal. It is. It's important that we heal. And please recognize that it's not going to be overnight. Oh, no. But here's the deal. You know what? But due to the fact that it's not going to be overnight, you don't have to go through your life as if the only thing that appears is night. That's it. It's so dark. Good. That's what I'm saying? Good. So we want to just make sure that we believe that there's light, there is joy, and that joy cometh in the morning. Yes. And we're going to be able to breathe like we did in the beginning. Yes. Where we just took a deep breath. Ooh. And yes, we have to do all of the things to maneuver ourselves forward. Because honestly, a lot of us getting through our grief is really the acts of service that we have to do to get through it. You know what I'm saying? Take yourself out, work out. That's good. And do things that really, really make you happy. Yes. But here's the deal. You ready for this one?
you cannot stop the regimen.
Oh, that's good.
You can't stop the regimen. A lot of me healing through certain things, whether it was parent fractures, whether it was relationship fractures, whether it was, job fractures, church fractures, whatever fractures that it was, whatever loss that it gave me, I had to recognize that there was a regimen that I had to continue to get through it. And eventually there were things that, here's the deal, there were things that I can even speak about, but it wouldn't trigger me anymore.
That's good.
There are things that, I can take a moment to just, to think about, and it won't trigger me no more.
Yes.
And does the residue of being fractured remain? It does. It does.
That's good.
It does. I right now can tell you that, God got to send my wife from heaven because just understanding that going into a relationship, there's some fear there. There is there is that abandonment that I talked about. There is the lack of trust, in that. And guess what? I'm at a mature point to also understand that I'm not the only one.
No.
That even the person that may be coming to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot comes with me.
Absolutely.
Okay? A lot comes with me. You get
My
what
God.
I'm saying? So, okay. So it's like, but I have to understand that when we do get together, that we identify that we have some issues that we're working through and work through them together.
And that's why it's important to talk about communicate.
Oh, that's a big one.
From the very beginning.
That's a big one.
And even as you're
tuning
going
up
through,
again. You need an organ. Yeah.
Even as you're going through, communication is key. Always talking about it.
Wow.
Always talking about whatever it is that you're going through. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And then seeing what each other's viewpoint is on it.
I lacked communication a lot.
I
lacked
me too
communication
in some areas.
And what I would do, I would go into places that were security for me.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And it was because realistically, I knew people that wanted to know why I did certain things the way that I did them, but it was so hard for me to communicate why, because I did not want to reminisce the tragic.
Yes. Oh, that's good.
And I didn't want to bring the tragic to my future.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing too. I feel like, and you have to understand that although that I was in my regimen of moving forward, going forward, believing that my future would not be hindered.
Yes.
Now I've put in place some communication barriers.
Right. Exactly.
Where I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to relive.
Yes.
What was a weight on me.
Yes.
And so, but I also know that, like I said, you may go out of one storm and go into a beautiful weather, but then there's something else.
That's
so
true.
I've come out of a lot of things, but then there's some other stuff that did approach, and that was like, having communication issues.
Right.
And so, but I understood, but then I had to identify that. Again, I wanted to identify it. I wanted to detect it. I wanted to develop from it. And so each thing that was appearing in my life, I was dealing with, I was facing it head on. I don't care how hard it was.
That's good.
Because I knew
that it
was going to overtake me and that I was going to overtake it.
Absolutely. And you know what, as you were talking, what reminded me was, what came to my mind, I should say, was the fact that a lot of times because of that lack of communication, we tend to forget that even in our communication to another person, they may have gone through what we're trying to overcome. And what they've gone through, they may be the very person that's going to be able to help us get through what we're in the midst of, right? But because we didn't communicate, because we let our fear, fear of rejection, fear of whatever it could be, we let that hinder us from our total healing and growth.
Yeah.
And again, it could be that very person that we're not even willing to communicate with, because of that. It's like we may miss our blessing. We may miss that chance to be whole.
Yeah.
So that's something that I thought about. I was like, man, I said, what? It's so many people willing to help us,
Yeah.
want to be there for us. And we just don't give them the opportunity because, like you said, about the lack of trust, the lack of fear. Excuse me, not the lack of, but having fear, the lack of being transparent, right? Because a lot of times we want people to see a certain perception of us when we're not even being true to ourselves or the person that loves us.
That's good.
So that's why it's so important, like we talked about before, about being yourself, knowing yourself, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like Orlando said, we have the opportunity, you guys, that even through the grief, there is a chance to heal. There's a chance to be made whole. There's a chance to start your life again. There's a chance to, have the ability to say, I can have joy. I will have peace. I will overcome, right?
Yep.
Because we're overcomers, right? And so, I mean, there's hope. There's hope. There's hope.
Man, I love that so much. And recognizing that it will hit your self-worth.
Yes. Yes.
It will
100%.
come down on, your confidence.
Yes.
It will come down on your determination to push forward.
Yes.
To go again. It would definitely put a weight on everything you used to be.
Oof.
Everything you used to be. So when you had that confidence, determination, zeal, perseverance, it's going, that grief, that trauma is going to weigh on the very things that you just knew that you just had, that you knew that could never be broken because you were just that confident.
Yes.
But I'm here to let you know that you're going to get it back.
Yes.
You're definitely going to get it
We
back.
are living witnesses,
listen,
right?
Listen, it's still living in a witness.
Yes, yes.
You know what I'm saying? One of the things that I want you to know that if there's a story that you want to, even look at, because I want you to understand that, people tell their stories for various reasons. One, to also bring light to your situation that you find dark. And then, like, there's a story named Job.
That's a good story.
Man who, who had everything, he had the real estate, he had possession, he had, everything, but then it was all stripped from him.
Yes.
Went into a moment, of psychological go through, you know what I'm saying? But although he had a psychological go through, he had a psychological breakthrough.
Yes.
You feel what I'm saying?
He did.
But if you just stay within the fight, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it didn't tell you how long the struggle lasted.
No, it didn't.
But again, the regimen is you getting closer and closer to your relief, to peace.
Yes.
And for peace. And so it's definitely important. I want to say something. Grief is experienced, of coping with a loss. And most of us might think of grief as happening in the painful period of following the death of a loved one, right? So, but the truth is that grief can accompany any life event that disrupts or maybe even challenge our sense of normalcy or ourselves. And this can include the loss of connections that we believe define us.
That is so good. I want to touch on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to touch on
you
that.
better touch on it.
So I think about even my, when I got divorced.
Yeah.
Like, truthfully, during that whole entire time of my marriage, because I got married at 21. And honestly, I have to say that marriage is what defined me.
Woo.
Because I didn't know myself.
Wow.
I didn't know my self-worth.
Wow.
I didn't know who I was, like what I liked. Everything, my whole entire being was centered around, okay, if this person likes this, then this is what I like.
So you had to come into American marriage.
Yes, I did. No,
Would you like to do? Whatever you like.
Yes. Right. Like her.
That was it.
When he said
Whatever you like.
on one leg,
Hop on one leg. Bark like a dog.
But it was just, I had to learn.
Purr like a cat.
I literally had to learn, like after that was over, it was like, it was really like an eye opener for me. Like when people would ask me, what do you like to do? And I really couldn't tell them.
Wow.
Because I didn't know.
Oh, you know she's your queen to be.
And it was, and I had to do a whole rediscovering of self all over again.
Wow.
And I'm just grateful to God for that, though, because now I can actually say, okay, well, this is what I like. This is what I don't like.
Yeah.
You know, this is who I am. You know, this is what I'm not willing to do that. You know what I mean?
I love that.
So it was definitely a eye opener, a lesson learned, I could say. And I'm still growing and learning about myself. And I'm sure many of you all are doing the same thing anytime you suffer from a kind of grief, loss, whatever it is, you know, just whatever life change that you're going through, you're gonna be trying to discover, you know, during that life change and even after, who you really are. So, I mean, I know y'all can relate to that.
Wow. I'm glad you left that King Joffrey relationship. Because let me tell you something. But we glad you left that.
Yeah.
All right. We glad. Praise God. All right. Now, I recognize that also there's some other types of grief.
Yes.
And grief can be experienced in many different, ways. Losing a loved one, like you mentioned, going through divorce, and maybe one of your pets died, or you lost your job.
Oh, yeah.
And especially, and among other things. And so it's like, it's so much.
Yes.
It's so much. And I'm glad that we're dealing with this. And that's why I can't wait to even put some things that's going to help us all get through.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be honest with you, like, I don't want this episode to be so, packed down with just talking.
True,
You know what I'm saying?
true.
No, I want to put some things on the screen that's going to help you maneuver through.
Right,
You got to get it going.
That's
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Absolutely.
No, let me tell you something. Staying where you are is not an option.
No, it's
but
not.
going where you should be, that's an option.
That's right.
And that is healed and whole.
Yes.
All right. I want to talk about some spiritual stuff for a minute. How we going to get these people faith activated through all of this struggle stuff. Get this stuff out of them right now. We need to find a trash bag to discard this stuff.
Oh, my God,
These people
yes.
in here having to deal with all this pain and suffering and
That's
scars
right.
and scarring and all of that. We need to get some people married to the right people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's all good, though. It's all right. But come on here. Let's go. I'm ready to go.
So, with all of that, oh man, I'm sorry.
Come on, give us Jesus
This is a
now.
good
Give us
laugh.
Jesus.
This is a good laugh. But you know what? To sum it all up with what he said,
Sum it
as
up.
far as the spiritual aspect, counseling. We talk about that a lot,
Absolutely.
because we've both been through certain situations
Yes, we have.
and we've had to get counseling. And counseling is not a bad thing. It's more of a helping tool, So counseling, support, whether it be through your family or your friends or somebody that you can trust, it could be a church group. I know a lot of times, sometimes churches, people put that in a negative light, but a lot of times, what I mean by that is even with ministry, right? People say, oh, well, everybody says they go to the church and they're praying over you, but nothing is really happening. But a lot of times that church group is something that's something people want to discover. You know what I mean? That's maybe that change that they didn't experience before of having Christ or having that relationship with him. So all of a sudden, the grief that they're going through or the loss or whatever it is, they decide, okay, well, this is something I do want to try.
Yeah.
And guess what? Even in the process of their grief, as they're going to church or doing whatever it is that they feel that they need to do from a spiritual perspective, guess what? They start to see the growth and change in them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're like, okay, this really isn't bad.
Yeah.
I want to start coming more. You know what I mean? I want to read more.
Yeah.
I want to pray more. So
Cool.
I just think it's a benefit. That's a benefit.
Good.
And then, of course, what the big thing we kept talking about was don't quit.
Don't quit.
Don't quit.
Do
you gotta
not-
keep going. You
Listen,
gotta keep going.
Here, I'll give you two things. Don't force the fit and don't forfeit.
Oh, that's
Okay?
good.
I just it. That's it.
good.
Don't
That's
force
good.
the fit and don't forfeit. And what I mean by that is that go through what you have to go through.
Yeah.
Feel what you have to feel, but don't allow your feeling
Yeah.
to bring killing.
Oh, that's good.
And you don't want to kill yourself off, and you don't want to kill nobody else off because of what you going through. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And understand this too. Understand this. Recognize this, that everyone is not the suspect.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
To your trauma.
Absolutely.
Okay. I understand that there is a suspect,
Right.
but don't make everybody. One of the things that's so funny, I used to see how people, they get a whole bunch of people that may have identified that could have fit the situation. They bring them all in the room. You know what I'm saying? They had them standing up with thing, in their hand and be like, identify the person who did it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They got about 7-10 people in there. And I just want to let you know that, and kind of different. Yeah, I get it that there are certain things in your life where it may be a lot of suspects that may have hurt you.
Yeah.
But each situation is not the same suspect.
It's not. That's true.
And so, and with understanding that you may have had a whole great big deal of hurt, tell yourself that you're getting ready to get a great big deal, of getting ready to live your best life.
That's right.
Your greatest life.
That's right.
From all of the hell.
Come on.
That you was put through.
That's right.
Because you are great. You are beautifully and wonderfully made.
That's right.
And we ain't going out like this. I want you to tell yourself right now, I ain't going out like this.
I am not going out like this.
You know what I'm saying? With your chest. You know what I'm saying? That you ain't going out like this.
That's right.
You cannot go out like this.
Yes.
It's your time to live the greatest life you can ever. And I understand, again, that you're dealing with doing life after a loss. But I want you to understand that even life is a cost. So when we do life, just always understand it's a cost. So everything may not go the way that you want it to.
Right.
But when you don't lose your faith and you keep going and have a positive regimen, you will see your life exceed beyond your expectations.
So good.
I want you to know
That's good.
This episode is for your life.
Come on.
And I want you to hug on it and believe that your end date is not today.
That's
because
right.
it's more beginning for you. All right? In this new
good.
beginning, in this new season. Yeah. So I want you to just be happy. Smile. You even got no teeth. Gums work. Gums work. It's still a smile.
That's right.
All right?
That's
All right.
right.
I'm done with this. I'll see y'all later. Peace.
Bye, y'all.
Our discussion centered around weathering the ebbs and flow of loss. Loss can be experienced in a myriad of ways. It's essential that we locate God in those moments and stay committed to our healing journey. Thank you for engaging in this whole conversation. On our next and final episode for the season, we'll discuss the after effects of the relationship experience. And I invite you to join us as we dive deeper into whole conversations.